Hello and welcome to Wide Angle. Today we have a very special guest on our show, and I'm so excited to introduce Arjun Iyer to all of you. Hello, Arjun, how are you?
Wonderful to see you, Sajini. Thanks for having me here on today. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I was waiting for that very typical Arjun style response, bursting with happy words, happy emotions. Thank you for being here, Arj. So before we continue with our conversation, I would like to introduce you to our audience. So here's a little bit about Arjun. Arjun Aiyer is a life coach, a motivational speaker, a psychotherapist, a writer, and a trainer. Arjun has been in this profession as an entrepreneur for 22 years now, out of which 13 years have been in the UAE. Arjun, is that correct?
Absolutely right, yes.
Wonderful. And academically, Arjun has completed his MBA from Australia. And in fact, he started his career as a banker before he found his calling. Arjun has an impressive list of clients and companies that he has added tremendous value to. He has coached and trained the staff of scores of companies in the Middle East and Asia. Arjun also coaches individuals, senior professionals, CEOs, business owners, and executives, helping them achieve their goals and to write their own success stories. Arjun is passionate about personal development, and he leads a life driven by purpose and higher consciousness. Arjun, I'm so happy to welcome you to our show today, and I've been waiting for this opportunity for a very long time, and I'm glad it worked out now. So let's dive straight in, shall we?
Absolutely.
Great. So the topic that we're discussing today is the psychology of success. And if we manage to get hold of Arjun again, then the intention is to continue this conversation as a series. So Arjun, my first question to you is, what do you mean by the psychology of success?
Well, thank you, Sajini, for having me on here today, and greetings to all of you in the Bukathar group. And I certainly hope to be able to add value to you through this dialogue that's taking place not just between Sajini and me, but also between you and me. I have been a student of success for 22 years now, and this started for me when I met my mentor in March of 1998 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Basil Harris is South African by origin and lives in Australia today. He is a self-made multimillionaire. I've always had a dream to have my own business. I used to be a banker, but there was a passion within me to be independent. And that intention, I guess, connected me to a teacher who has educated me over the last 22 years with principles and philosophies that come under the umbrella of the psychology of success, which is what we're going to talk about here today. Very simply put, when we think about success, you in a job, in your career, think of progression. And the word progress is synonymous to success. And success can be success with money. It can be success with health. It can be success with relationships. It can even be success when it comes to charity or contribution, or perhaps even your connection to divinity and spirituality. Every which ways, we as human beings intend to, want to, desire to improve our life conditions, and that is success. Now, in order to attain the success, we have two aspects. One aspect is called the mechanics, and the mechanics is the process, the system, the steps, the methods, the do's and the don'ts.
Right.
So that's the mechanics. Second area is called the psychology. And this is the chokehold that holds most people back from the dreams and desires that they wish to accomplish. So many people pursue a strategy. They learn about ideas, principles, tools, and concepts that successful people have used in any of those areas of life. And they pursue that strategy, but they don't imbibe that state. And that state is that mindset, that heart set, that emotional set, all of which we can call the psychology of success. So very simply put, the psychology of success is the way you think and hence, as a result of your thinking, the way you feel about yourself, that is your inner verse, and outside of yourself, which is your universe. And a combination of that causes you now to actually put fuel into the fire of your strategy, and therefore causing you to either achieve that success or perhaps not achieve that success and just get frustrated in the process. So short question, but long answer. It's how you think, and how you think determines how you feel. And the way you feel actually propels you forward towards your dreams, goals, and desires.
Wonderful. So I gather that it's important to have a combination of both the mechanics and the psychology for one to really have a successful journey towards one's success. Okay, so explain this a little more. This is fascinating. Tell us a little more about the whole psychological aspect, because I know the tools are easier to get hold of. One can attend training sessions, one can read up, etc. But it's a psychological aspect that needs more focus, that needs more time and effort to master. So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, and thank you for asking. I'm glad you're kind of probing this subject a little bit further, because what I'm finding now, especially in these challenging times, in this tumultuous environment, and with the evolution and revolutions that are taking place on our planet, politically, business-wise, economically, and also microcosmically in our individual lives, there is a kind of soul reckoning that is taking place of sorts. People are looking within now than ever before. In the past, we were kind of chugging along and expecting things to be predictable. We kind of knew what the next step was. There was a path that had been charted out for us. Organizations could, for the most part, project months and maybe even years ahead, and then determine their action steps and strategic investments today. With what's happened recently, and when I say recently, I'm not only talking about COVID-19 and Corona, I'm also talking about the massive changes that took place, say, for example, in 2016, when we started to see Brexit, or, tremendous changes in the political world, and business ideas and philosophies of governments completely transforming. The constant threat of an economic recession, the volatility in stock markets and the economy, and fascinating technologies like robotics, artificial intelligence, cyber technology, bitcoins. These things have been game changers. They have been revolutions of sorts, and disruptors to the way business is done. And so in a scenario like this, in an environment that is new, an environment that we have never experienced before, change is taking place more rapidly than has ever taken place in the history of mankind. And therefore, the way that we used to think in the past can no longer be valid in this new milieu. And so then the question is, hey, what kind of thinking should I now adopt in order to allow myself to align with these rapidly dynamic times? And perhaps we can reframe the word volatile to dynamic, because dynamic has a better feel, a better sound to it. And now we begin the curiosity about, hey, what kind of mindsets must I develop in order to be compatible to this dynamic environment? So we know the skill sets. And of course, the skill sets, a lot of them have to do with technology, but a lot of them also have to do with a communication with people and leadership and understanding and evolving through the change process. Those are skill sets. And the mindset has to do with your emotional intelligence with regard to how quickly, the speed at which you rebound from a challenge, adversity, issue, or a problem. Because problems, challenges, issues, scenarios, situations, unpredictabilities are a given. That is going to happen. And the mindset, the psychology is essentially, hey, how quickly can I now get a handle on, maybe it'll take me time to get a handle on the situation, but how quickly can I get a handle on myself, particularly with regard to what I'm thinking and feeling, so that I am better placed to now respond rather than react to the situation. And when you as a leader or as a non-leader follower do that, you find that people around you mirror and mimic you. We're all looking for role models. And the greatest role models around us are those that demonstrate maturity, and the word maturity has everything to do with emotional stability. The moment you see, hear, and feel another human being who is grounded and centered in a challenging situation, humans have a tendency to gravitate towards that human being and now mirror, mimic, model, and emulate that person's vibration or energy and so forth. So you can be a beacon of light by just imbibing these kind of mindsets and psychology. So yeah, does that answer your question?
It does, and it allows me to ask you one more question.
Sure thing.
What you just shared. So, what will organizations be looking for in an employee now? What kind of employee will be successful in this new normal?
Yeah. That's a great question, and this is definitely a new normal, and it's a kind of normal that maybe we've never experienced before. And this normal has my teacher Basil taught me about the word ability. And he said that perhaps one of the abilities you want to have is stick ability. And the word stickability has to do with perseverance, sustenance, not giving up. I will until. Okay. Now, the other ability that is so necessary for this scenario that we have today is adaptability. So we need stickability. So the stickability is I will until. Hey, I'm going to stay the course. Basil said commitment to the strategy is sometimes more important than the strategy. You can have a fabulous strategy, but if you have poor commitment to a fabulous strategy, you're going to fall flat on your face. So stickability. The second one is adaptability. And adaptability is your willingness, and I'm using this word very, very carefully, your willingness to unlearn old paradigms in order for you to learn new paradigms. And the word paradigm means pattern, mindset, belief system. You can use those words interchangeably. So we want stickability as a key psychological skill that we can learn if you're in the organization, or you can look for if you're trying to recruit someone. Adaptability is the ability to morph and change and evolve. And morphing and changing, evolve it has to do with learning new things, but it also has to do with the attitude or willingness or the readiness to unlearn and discard things that don't work, particularly mindsets and mind patterns. And the third ability is responsibility. And I'm purposely breaking these words up because responsibility is your ability to respond to a situation, challenge. And it is also taking responsibility for a situation. Basil taught me many years ago, he said, key to success, 10 words and 20 letters, 10 words and 20 letters. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. And that is quintessentially what defines what responsibility is. So here we go. We've got stickability, adaptability, and responsibility. You combine that, you take that as the mindsets and the psychology, and combine that with the skill sets, which is the competence required for that particular job function. And now you have a fabulous recipe for what we can term as a bona fide competent employee in today's economic environment. Interestingly enough, I also coach business owners, and the business owners that I coach, entrepreneurs that I coach, folks who run their own show, I coach them specifically in the areas of developing these three abilities and onward from there, and also looking for staff that have this, or staff who are willing to invest in themselves and develop these abilities for themselves.
Yeah. Wonderful. I think that gives our leaders and our managers some kind of guidance as to what we should be looking for and what we should prepare for in the days to come in terms of personal attitude and getting ready for this kind of an environment.